Okay, in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to take a simple portrait and turn it into a split color portrait. So here's the before and here's the after. A very simple technique using Photoshop where you duplicate the layers and turn off certain color channels. Slightly move your image around to create this sort of echo color effect. So here's how it is done. You want to begin by opening your image in Photoshop, and you'll see that you have a blank layer. Make my window a little bit smaller. There is my original layer. The first thing I want to do is duplicate this layer and change it to black and white. So I'm going to right click on it, duplicate the layer, and I'll call this black and white. And there's my black and white copy. And just by calling it black and white doesn't make it black and white. I still need to go in and actually adjust that. So to do so, I'm going to go to Image Adjustments, up from the menu, Image Adjustments, and then choose black and white. And that will change my entire layer to black and white, as you can see there. So you can adjust it here, but I'm just going to leave the defaults for this exercise. The next thing I'm going to do is duplicate this black and white layer 2 times. You can duplicate it once, you can duplicate it twice, you can duplicate it multiple times, but for the effect that I'm going for, I'm going to duplicate it twice. And you can do that by dragging it down and make a copy here, or you can right click and choose not delete layer, sorry. Right click and choose duplicate layer. And there we go. Now I have a copy, and I'm going to right click again and duplicate that layer, and I have a second copy. So I have 3 black and white layers here. And the only one we can see is the one on top. So I'm going to turn off the visibility to start, just so we don't get confused. And I'm going to take this first copy that I made, double click in this gray area, not on the text. If I double click on the text, it thinks I want to change what I've named that layer. So I'm going to double click in this area here, and it opens up my layer style box. And you'll see here in the advanced blending, I've got my color channels, red, green, and blue. And so for this first layer, I'm just going to turn off the blue and hit OK. And now if I just grab this, I've got my move tool selected, and I slightly move it left or right, you can see I've got this blue and green there. So that's that layer. Now I'm going to turn the visibility back on this layer and double click on it. And the reason all of a sudden I'm seeing black and white again is because whatever is on top is what we see in the normal blending mode. If I were to blend these, then I could see through to the layers below. But since it's in a normal mode, the only thing I'm seeing right now is this top layer. So I'm going to double click over here in the gray area and open up this layer style. And this time I think I'll turn off my green and my blue and see what happens there. And then I'll move this one. You can move it wherever you want. You can even rescale it. To rescale it, you could just grab an edge and bring up or bring down the scale. I kind of like this slightly larger scale there. And you can be done here, but I know that if I add one more layer adjustment, I mean, you can add as many as you want, but I'm gonna come down here to my layer adjustment and add a levels adjustment. So to get to these adjustment layers, I just click on this circle here that's half white and half gray, and I'm gonna choose levels. And here are my properties for these levels. Here's the histogram. If I bring in this dial here, this represents all of my highlights. This represents my blacks, and these are my midtones here. So if I want to brighten anything up, I can slide this over. And if I want to deepen the blacks, I can slide this in, and I'm kind of liking the result now. And again, these are my midtones. You know, if I want to brighten or darken my midtones. I can do that. And that was it. Making a black and white copy of your original image, copying that twice, turning off the visibility of the top layer, and changing the color channels just simply by double clicking on the layer and turning them on or off right there. And then with my move tool, moving them around. There you go. Sometimes you'll get a part of your image from moving it that you might want to crop out later. If you want to do that, you can come up to the crop tool and just pull that in. And there you have it. Here's my original. There's the before, and there's the after. To export it, you can go up to File, Save As, or Export. And you can export as, and we will make sure we want to change this format to a JPEG. I'm going to leave all these the same and hit export. And a dialog box will open up asking you where you want to save it. And I'll call this color channel portrait. And it's going to save to my desktop. You probably want to save it to your pictures folder and somewhere specific so you can find it later. There you go. Easy peasy.